Hello, welcome to episode 1 of We Have Issues. I'm Anthony.
And I am Steven Mildcard.
This is the very first episode of this podcast. If you've ever seen us before, no, you haven't. It's never happened. We're starting fresh. We're usually it's a show about people who have issues, who are making comic book issues. This time, Steven, very limited issues.
Well, this is what I think is this is like, it's just as good. It's We Have Issues Kai.
Okay.
The episodes, much less episodes, and would become famous much sooner. It's like,
so smart. That's so smart.
Instead of it taking 291 episodes, it's bam, 156 or something like that. We're good.
Standard. Yeah. I know that makes sense. So, like, by episode 5, we're gonna have Kevin Smith on the show. Olin Rogers will join us again. He'll be here on episode 10 or something. It's gonna be great. But for those of you who don't know what the heck we're talking about, we've been doing this for 162 weeks, and we've had issues to talk about every single week. Sometimes they're depressing, sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're intriguing, sometimes they're silly, sometimes they're sad and weird. And Steven, I've had a week. Before we get into the week, and before we get into those kind of issues, let's talk about our comic book issues a little bit. Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were working on some stuff recently. But, did you get anything done?
Yes. I first off, something I did that was like a passive thing is a lovely gentleman named Cody ordered an issue of Deathless, so I decided to make him a guinea pig for the poster.
Thank you,
and
Cody,
I rolled
and
up.
Also, thank you, and I'm sorry, and you're welcome.
Yes, yeah, because he didn't order a poster. I'm like, I'm going to give him a free poster, and if the post off, if this strategy does not work,
Cody,
whatever.
Cody gets his mail. He starts up. He's like, the only thing I don't want in life is a freaking poster. Just like I've had it up to here.
Especially if it's Spider-Man, I swear
to God. Like if I see the Sinister Six one more time, I'm gonna lose it.
So what I did was I wanted to test if I rolled a poster tight enough, would it make the comic mailer structurally sound enough to not be crushed and crush the poster or crease the poster.
Where did you get your rolling skills, Steven?
So back in the early 2000s, my wife and I used to roll the craziest crepes filled with no, I'm just kidding, but I never actually did that. My rolling skills actually come from my Uncle Jason. I remember him teaching me how to roll my Return of the Jedi poster. But you put your finger in, and then you use the moisture, and you do the tightening of the roll. Like once you get and this seems like I'm trying to do something else or like a bit, and I'm not doing a bit. This is how I tightly roll a poster, everybody. So anyways, I rolled the poster, and then I put my finger in, and I tightly rolled it,
and then I'm like back to it. They got me.
It's the real move. I
know it is. I've done the fingering. I've done it.
It's called the one-sided finger trap. But I went to Tina. I'm like, Tina, do we have any of those tiny hair ties that you put in Chase's hair because she has, she's tiny, like the clear ones. And like she goes, oh yeah, I have a whole package of them, and so tightly, and then sent it, and the poster arrived beautifully. So that means we can do a full size. So it means we can do a full-size 11x17 print for the Mary Barrel bonus reward, which I was, thinking about doing test print runs for that, or like the 5x7 prints, basically. And now everyone gets a full. I didn't want to do that.
No, I didn't either. I'm glad. That's really cool, dude. I'm really glad that worked out. I saw the pictures Cody showed me, and he seemed really excited about it, which was awesome. And it feels really cool when people are really just into the stuff that we're doing. And
I also fully roughed and started finishing the drawing of Deathless we're gonna do for the little crystal thing that we're doing.
Yes.
So that way we can send off for all that stuff. I'll just get with you. And
so I guess to add context to that, this week what I've done is I placed a gigantic order of comic books. I ordered I fixed the lettering that needed to be fixed, and I sent off a huge order for Deathless issue 2. So hopefully those are going to show up, in a few weeks, and Steve and I are getting the rest of the Kickstarter rewards all together now. So Steven's talking about these like little plastic standees that seem pretty cool. So we're gonna place an order of those as soon as you get that drawn up. We're gonna place an order for those. we're gonna get more prints, and then we're gonna ship everything off, and we're gonna have our like whole like shipping and signing party. That's gonna be fun.
Package party.
I love doing that. So yeah, that's what I did this week. I ordered comics. I also, Stephen, am very proud to say that I wrote, I think I'm on page 7. I think I'm on page 7. Yeah. So
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now,
so,
how sure are you of this script as you're writing it?
So I'm gonna say I'm 90% sure it's gonna stay just how it is so far. But I'm gonna give it, so tomorrow Atlas goes with his mom. I'm going to try my best to sit down and just like write as much as I can. So like
And then even if you like get like a finalization on, like, let's say like you're not sure about page 1, but you know for sure page 3 is going to stay the same.
Right.
Just let me know, because then I can work on any pages that you have that you're pretty sure are going to look that way.
Well, I'll tell you, something I've been doing with this script that's a little bit different than my other scripts is I've been doing I haven't even been really adding dialogue yet. Like I'm doing all of the like panel descriptions and like laying everything out, and I know exactly what has to be said there, and I'm doing like very basic dialogue stuff, but it's helping me get through and see how the book's gonna look, and I think it's pretty cool. So I want to like add some little dialogue bits so you have an idea of how much, or like how many dialogue balloons you're gonna need this space, just in case. Although I feel like we're getting better at it. I feel like I learned a lot lettering issue 2, so I'm going to be able to like kind of like maneuver the balloons a little bit better than I did in issue 2. And I have little tricks that I've learned to fit dialogue and make things a little better. And I have a pretty good understanding of how it's going to work. So I think we'll be okay no matter what. But it's good for you to have it just anyway. But yeah, that's that's what I've done this week. It was pretty cool. But aside from that, Steven, man, I don't know, for those of you who might not remember, I was sick recently. I was sick last week, and I was recovering, and it was like I started feeling feeling better. I was still tired and like getting through it. I was just like finally recovering, and then like yesterday Atlas started like dripping from his face, and I was like, oh no, he's getting sick now. Why are we like leapfrogging? We're sharing back.
We just pass it back, and we make it stronger and send it back.
Yeah, it's just like we're just playing, we're playing volleyball with this like disgusting virus, or so it's just like, please stop, please. But anyway, he's been feeling a lot better today. I kept him home from school and like spend time with him. But while I've been taking care of him, I was just like, sit him on the couch, like, don't you move, you stay here and relax, and like, play a video game or like watch TV, just sit, but just feel better, So I was like, I'm gonna go and I'll get on Twitter, I was like, yeah, I'll like talk to my friends and stuff and see what's going on. And Steven, there was a cornucopia of chaos that I just like felt like rolled over by the last couple of days, where I was just like, okay, I guess, I didn't expect any of this, and I don't want any of this, and I don't know what to do about it. So I'm at this weird place, right? Because we have a podcast here, welcome. If this is your first ever episode, hi, and also I'm sorry, and just hit the subscribe button, please. You probably won't, but like maybe you will. It'd be cooler if you did. But like, we have the show all about having issues and talking through our problems and talking about like the various things that distract us. But the difficulty I have with this, Stephen, is it's like it's like any like complicated human interaction, like endeavor, like when you know that there are multiple parties involved, and it's like it almost feels like an injustice to say a side of it sometimes, where I'm just like, all right, no matter what I do, I feel as if it's going to like be wrong. Like I feel like I'll be vilified, or like it'll be misconstrued in some way, or like people will assume there's a particular bias, of course, because I'm a person and everyone has their biases, where it's just like so I'm at a loss with this, because I'm like, the origin of this drama is just like it's this complicated human situation that happened over 2 years ago now. It's just like there's a situation in which there was unfortunately of like heartbreak, and just like just frustration on on the part of someone who isn't me, and then it was a heartbreak on my part, but like it got weird and complicated, as human interactions often do. And I'm just like, I never want to make anyone's life harder or, just more frustrating or more depressing. I don't want to drag things out any more than they have been or are, and it's just like,
Mhm.
so I'm at a loss as to how to talk about it because it is weighing on me, like what's been happening just a bit, because I'm like, these are situations that I'm like, I need to live. I need to live in this present. I have so much to do. I can't be focusing on this stuff. I'm sorry. Like, for whatever whatever you feel like that I did that you feel wronged by I'm sorry, can we just move on and bury this at some point? This is absurd. I thought we got past this. And so anyway, so what ended up happening, in a general sense, which, by the way, so this is my problem, dude, is I'm just like,
Mhm.
that's my problem, is like I I feel as if it's like a horror movie, right? Like, think about it. The monster in the shadows is always scarier than the monster with like the flashlight on its face or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, because your imagination makes it worse. It makes the boils bigger and the teeth sharper and the
Mhm.
claws, more dangerous. And it's just like, there are more tentacles in the dark than there are in the light, And so my fear is, if I try to explain any of this weird drama, if I don't do it to like, if I don't explore the entirety of it, if I'm not like, hey, here from A to Z, like exactly what happened, people are going to fill in those gaps themselves, right? Like, that's my fear, is
Mhm.
like, not everyone. I mean, I'm sure we have a lot of people watching who are just going to be like, oh no, man, well, you're fine, and like, maybe they've been watching us for 162 episodes. They're like, maybe a lot of you know me personally, and you're like, oh yeah, no, we know who you are, But some people, strangers, or like, people with whatever motives, I don't know, I'm not gonna assume their intention, but like, other people will see it and be like, oh yeah, what's he hiding in those shadows? And I'm like, crap,
Mhm.
So it's like, where do I shine the light, that will, that will say enough about the situation without disrespecting anyone or make things worse, while also, like, just expressing what I'm going through right now. And that's really the hard, thing to juggle right now about this. And so I don't like, I think what I've said already is probably enough, uh contextually, like something happened, but it's just like, I'm trying really hard to just like be respectful and say these things with like humility and just move forward and see how we can get through it, um
And just exist.
dude,
We
it's,
have to exist. We all have to exist on the same planet still. We all have to exist in the same social spheres. Honestly, that's the truth.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it
most
really,
of our Twitter experience was birthed in the same room. So, like,
yeah,
at
exactly,
some point, the peace just has to be accept. Like, it just has to. Like,
yeah,
we got to stop with the. I forget what the other bad guy was in West, or the other gang in West Side Story, but like sharks
sharks and
and
jets.
Jets. Why did I remember? Like, I remember that, like, as I said it. But anyways, like, we got to stop the Capulet Montague. It's just gotta end at some point.
Yeah, no,
Although
100%.
I do still got my snapping
I
fingers.
knew you were gonna say.
No, I was kidding.
um
But
but
I feel you do, because like when something like that, like Twitter has been becoming like difficult for me to manage too, like just in general, just existing on it, because it always does feel like a shade of negative lately.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
hard for me to maintain my own like mental well-being and exist
yeah,
there when there's so much. And it's not even saying that the people that I associate with, but just the way Twitter is
in
kind of
general, well,
managed now. I see things
sure.
I don't want to see or
Yes,
hear or talk about. And like,
I know,
because like, listen, man,
but
we are ostriches and we like to bury our head in the sand. Like, trust
it's,
me, I know that desert is horrible. I know there's a ton of chaos out
okay,
there. I
so
don't.
as far as like the general Twitter atmosphere, the way I look at it is, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you can't like insulate yourself and like live in a bubble. You're living in a bubble and it's an echo chamber and blah 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 blah. And like, there's truth to that in the whole of human experience. You can't be like, hey, like, that's what a cult is, right? That's what, that's where you end up defining a person as a wholesale villain, or you're just like, oh, that guy's
Mm,
Hitler. Look at him go. Except unless you're a Hitler, don't be a Hitler. Um, but but
mm,
but as far as like the whole of human experiences, we know we aren't like insulating ourselves as a whole. But Stephen and I know what's going on in the world. We know that there are terrible things happening every single day. And when we go on places like social media, we're trying to create communities and like have friends and like develop like friendships and support one another and share just joy. Like that's just like I go on there and I just like tell stupid jokes and just like share my dumb thoughts and like I try to laugh. But what I see are people having their experiences that are important to them, but are detrimental to like my mental health sometimes in that
It's
sphere.
my biodome. I
Yeah.
can't keep my homeostasis above 99%. Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner's back there screwing shit up with his parrot. He's going to eat it later. But like, no, but no, seriously. And it's not even like, and what you said is exactly true. Like, please, like, everyone, use your social media experience for how you see fit. If you see it as a place for social activism, or if you see it as a place for anything that you want to do, that's fine. What I'm trying to say is that Twitter used to be a lot better at algorithm control and kind of conditioning your sphere, and it's not that anymore.
No.
And it's not that I don't care about your plight.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not just seeing that. I'm seeing like it's just everything. It's not even just things that do matter societally speaking, but things that don't matter and this and that. And like, it's a mess. It's hard to navigate.
It's really hard to navigate. And then aside, like on top of the general Twitter atmosphere of already being difficult to navigate, one of my friends who is a really good friend of mine messaged me and was like, hey, I just want you to know, because I read this thing and I know you, and I don't want you to be out here in the world not knowing that someone's talking bad about you, so here you go. And I was like, great. Like, all right, so I looked and it was like, it's one of my old friends who was friends or close friends, now with the person I had the interaction with, and she just said, oh, she's just saying horrible things about me, just like she called me a narcissist and said I'm a fake person, which by the way, Stephen, I have to talk about briefly because it's been one of those things that like I keep circling back to, and I'm like, how do you define this? Like, how does that happen? Because okay, so here I am, right? Like I read these words and I'm like, all right, well, the truths of the matter for me are it sucks that anyone would see me that way, right? Like it doesn't matter if it's true. I don't feel those things. It's not like if it's like, when someone says like you're ugly, like you could have that insecurity and be like, oh, I do kind of feel it, like, but like I don't, like, I know who I am as a person. I try really hard. And like, like we've talked about this stuff in private, and like we're human people. We're trying our best. We do a lot of good things. And I'm not going to be like, hey, here's a laundry list of all the good deeds I do to prove I'm a good, I don't know how do you, so when someone lays like an accusation, like, oh, he's a fake person and a narcissist, or it's like, okay, well, can you show me your math a little, like, because like what do you mean, like what is it, are you insinuating, like what do you think the assumption is there, dude? Like, is it that everything I do is like fake, as in I'm only kind to people because I want to get something from them, or like I only support all these people because like I don't know, like what does that mean,
Which
dude?
I think, like, if it does mean that, like, one thing I can say is that I know that's not what you are, if that's the case, because like, no offense to, I mean, I know he's not watching, so I really don't care, but Tina's father is genuinely a man that I've met in my life that's how he perceives social relationships.
Yeah.
I've witnessed it firsthand, like him literally telling me, like, I'm friends with this guy because he does this, and that, I can do, for doing what takes me something like 10 minutes in cage work is this much in this much work,
Right,
and like,
right.
it's like literally a value
currency.
system.
Yeah,
and that's crazy to me. Like, I just,
your action as a currency.
and like, and I genuinely, as your close friend, as someone that's known you for 20 years almost,
Read the
like,
script, Stephen. Read it. The thing I wrote about me.
we've said we've we've said that it's actually on page 12 of Deathless if you guys want to read along. No,
I'm sorry. I have to make a joke because people are like there's at least someone in the world like who's gonna watch this, who's gonna hate watch this. Essentially, hi, by the way, it's welcome to our show. But it's just gonna be like, oh no, Steven will say anything, or it's like, all right, but go on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's just like it's so silly that we can't.
I think that at least how I have always perceived it, like I know my opinion probably doesn't matter to anyone that would need to hear it, but like both of us from the get-go have always said that the slow, like getting to know each and every person that supports us is like one of the coolest experiences we've had. Of
100%.
course, the side note to that is of course we'd want to quit our day jobs and be able to get more like
Yeah.
be able to do this more.
Yeah.
But the interactions that we have with people at cons and the friendships and the cult members, the jokingly named cult members that we have, like become friends with and like day to day spend time with, like socially. I mean, have even met in person. Like
Mhm.
that really does matter to me, and I know it matters to you. So
Of
like,
course, dude.
I
And
mean, and we're not just doing it so you buy our book. Like, I mean, it's like it's crazy. That's just it's
well,
and then I want to argue though, like because I genuinely mean that, but also like at what point then is everyone on Twitter who markets for their books
right,
just trying to
right. That's
like? I mean, I don't know. Like it's weird. I don't know.
I don't know, and it just drives me crazy because I'm like, okay, cool, and it's funny because I don't attach it to myself. Like I'm not like, well, that's something I am now. But I'm just like, it's interesting to see that weird lens where I'm like, oh my gosh, like that one's possible. Like, like I can see, like I know to someone I am a dad and someone I'm a son and someone I'm a best friend, someone I'm like, I get it. Like it's happens. There are 7 billion Anthony's out there, right? I mean, more because other people are named Anthony as well. I'm not the only one. I know that. I'm the best one. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And I think that's the thing is like we joke about these things all the time. Like I remember one of the things she said was that like I blame people for my own shortcomings. Where I was like, when when have I ever done that? Like, I mean, I throw you under the bus as a joke on our show, and I thought it was like the most obvious bit like in the world. And like that kind of stuff makes me self-conscious because I'm like, oh, well, I do that bit where I'm just like, oh, Steven failed and I didn't. It's all Steven's fault. But like it's a bit I hope everyone knows
there's
that, right?
only love here. Like
Yeah, and
I
like
get yeah.
I always operate under the assumption that like the audience is smart and they're gonna read the context of like you wouldn't be here if I was a monster,
Yeah, because
right? Like
I would
let's
totally draw like each page takes me roughly 8 to 10 hours. I would totally commit that to your
so
writing because that's really what it is at the end of the day. I am spending my comic life
yeah,
drawing your writing. You know what I'm
that's
saying? So I mean, like,
of
why would
course.
I commit to something?
Yeah, so I don't know. And it's one of those things where I'm like, so we're talking about this stuff, and I'm like, so I spiral a little because I'm like, I don't know, you can't really do anything to argue when someone's like, you're fake. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, how do I prove that I'm not fake? Or it's like do I explain my intention for everything I'm doing? Because of course things are multifaceted. Like you said, we have a podcast. Why would we record a podcast? I think we could always just have this conversation and not record it. We're having this having this for multiple reasons. People relate to it. It's a way to express ourselves like publicly so people can learn about us and therefore maybe be interested in our books. Yeah, it's a multifaceted thing. So is all social media. So is everything we're doing. It's not just one thing. And when we see and when we meet people, we don't look at them as dollar signs or whatever. Like I'm not like it's the whole like it's the Kantian thing of like I know people aren't means to an end. People are ends in and of themselves. We're all 8 billion different
It's
little like
we're all
complicated
a journey,
views. Yeah, and
journeying together.
and we know that, and like that's part of what this is. Most of the show is called We Have Issues, and we talk to people about it because it only works because other people share the various issues and can laugh at our various issues and laugh along with us and be like, I remember when I was you, and I remember when this happened to me, and
Mm.
it's just part of it. And it's interesting that anyone would want to like poke and be like, hey, look at you being a fake person. Like I don't know. I mean, if I'm a fake person, I'm sorry. I don't know what you want from me. Like this is how I am. It's absurd. I know my intention. I know Steven knows my intention and knows, everything I do to try to, make our experience the best it can be. But it's I don't know what to do. So anyway, this person said terrible things about me, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm not going to argue with them because I like that can't help. I was like, what am I going to, I'm not going to like comment on their post and like bring more attention to it. So what I did was I had feelings about it and I wrote on my Twitter, I wrote basically, hey, one of my old friends called me a narcissist and, a fake person. I don't, it sucks. It was like, that's pretty much what happened. And then that person like continued and it was a whole thing. That was all I said about it. Um, so So I wake up today. My son's sick. I stay home from work. I keep him home. I'm trying to just like spend time with him. And then I see a tweet from someone on one of my posts about my son. And they're talking about his mom and they say her whole name and they're like doxing her on my I'm just like, what is this? And I block them. And then because that tweet's still there and they can still comment on that tweet even though they're blocked, which is absurd, by the way.
That is weird.
Once you block someone on your account, they should not see your account anymore at all. Like it should just be completely gone for them, including anything they would have previously seen. It doesn't. Why would you still? Anyway, I'm not in charge of Twitter, unfortunately. So, so this person comments again, and they're like, "Oh, do you still live at this address?" Like, blah blah blah, and like just saying these things, like just trying their best to like hurt me and say like, "Haha, I know where you live, and I know you." Blah blah blah, and I'm just like, "What is this?" So I look in their account, and I see that like they've been interacting with this other account, and sorry, and they've been interacting with this other account. And apparently, Stephen, what happened was someone started an account to say bad things about the person I have had this interaction with, who eventually it was the initial like domino flick in that led to this other person saying bad things about me, or it's just like so this it's getting so convoluted and I hate it. But so now there's this account on Twitter saying terrible things about this person, and then an account on Twitter that seems to be created after that one saying bad things about me. And I was like, is this a reactionary thing? Like, is it someone created something to say bad things about someone who I had a bad situation with, like a bad experience with? And I think I can't prove it. I can't prove it, but I think someone thought that that was me. Like I think like that's my assumption, right? Because like why else would they attack me? Like I don't understand, like I don't get it. But like someone created something about this person and I think someone assumed it was me and they thought the best thing to do would be to create another one to attack me. So two now there are two like alt accounts, like alternate accounts for
It's
someone.
basically, it's almost like that Rick and Morty episode where the universe within the universe. It's like
Oh yeah,
these two
yeah.
alt accounts are created and they're just living the same life now. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. And it's
I personally, I know you suggested that you think it was someone, like white knighting. Basically, it's two white knights is what's
yeah,
happening, and um, I don't think so. Like personally, for me, I think it's one person just sowing chaos.
back and
For
forth.
what reason, I'm unsure.
I know that
But
was my other
both
theory.
both alts were created October 2023,
Yeah.
and they, like I said, they both follow. They don't follow the same like things, but they both follow highly subscribed, verified user like Rihanna and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like both of them have like random follows, and they were both created October 2023, and they've both interacted with each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just
Well,
it's really sus.
oh, it is.
It's really like
It is sus, and but unfortunately, because of the way Twitter works, you can't tell who created
there's
a
no way.
thing. There's no way to link if like, oh, was this made on the same phone or same? You don't know, and you will never know. It's just an if that was you, go away forever, please. I beg of you, just be decent. But essentially we have these nebulous like these unknown people or whatever or unknown person who's just like sowing chaos in my life trying their best um because of something that happened 2 years ago that like as far as I'm concerned is so way past like I don't understand it at all and I'm just like how how do I deserve this? Like, like what the hell? Like, who's just like, hey, yeah, let's keep bothering Anthony. Like I like Steven, it's been 2 years of like we had five we had
Personally, like I'm gonna be super honest, like because this situation has frustrated me to no end for the
I
last
know.
2 years, and I feel like you were already dragged into the public square when it
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
And the public square decided, hey, you know what? We're not hanging them. So, like, I don't really understand what's the point of holding on to the level of hostility.
I
Like
know. And I
all the evidence was brought to light, everything was said, and almost everyone was like, whatever. Like, it sounds like it was
yeah,
just
well,
it was just two humans having a human interaction that didn't
yes.
bode well,
It's a
and that's it.
yes. Here, you had this weird almost courtship situation that fizzled into a fire. That exploded into just two people not working out, like just combusting. And that's what it happens. Um there's no need to vilify, but then people linger in the weirdest ways and like bring things back up, and it's just like I don't know, man. And I try so hard just to move forward, but it's like that person shows up once a month to watch our podcast. There's zero watch hours from that location, but they show up for 15 episodes, which I can only assume they're clicking dislike or something. Like what are you doing? Why are you lingering on our show? It's if you like our show still good, I don't know, but like can we drop this? I know like it's this is all because of this one person and that one interaction. I mean not one interaction, but like one experience with another person. And it's just like I feel like it all hinges on this one person who won't live their life. And I've never experienced anything like this. I've never had a situation in which I felt like someone wouldn't let me go. I've never thought this was possible, dude. Like I had that one situation where someone was calling me or like texting me late at night every night. It would happen. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst it'll ever be. This has been so
I
much.
remember that.
Yeah, this has been so much worse. It's been 2 years of anytime I've tried to date anyone, suddenly they're mysterious, one-star reviews or one-star ratings on our podcast, or like we get all these thumbs down suddenly. It's just, or I get like people blocking me suddenly. I'm just like, okay, and then I can always very clearly see the chain, like how it happened. And some people have told me explicitly, what's happened. And I'm just like, okay, this is weird that it's still going on. This is weird that someone has this level of vitriol and like maintains it. And so much so that like she's defining me as a villain to people in such a way where I'm just like, why? Like, what are you doing? Like how are we to this place that you've literally knocked over the dominoes of people thinking I'm some monster that they need to dox on the internet? Like like this is crazy. This is so crazy, dude. And I just think it's unacceptable. And I've gotten to the point like I have people who are constantly telling me and like like telling me that I should just hey lay out a whole timeline of what happened and just like put it out there for the internet. And I don't want that. I've tried so hard to cultivate this like hey, this place is where I go to have fun, meet friends, be funny, and share
Because
joy.
the thing is doing that never solved anything before. It's been
Exactly.
done before by both parties. It's been done before. It's been executed before. Basically, all that people are asking of you is that every time we meet a drove of new people, we have to catch them up on the history
Yeah, I
of like
don't
all
want
these
it.
things.
Just
It doesn't make
stop.
any sense because like how do you how do you just let it go?
Yeah,
Just
it's
just 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 exist. Just exist where you exist. Well, we exist where we exist,
yeah.
and
I
that's
mean,
it.
that's it.
And like
You don't have to like
it sucks.
what I,
It's
what I don't understand is okay. I mean, like, there's just so much. There's so much in this situation because it's like, okay, like I said about you, right? Like, if you thought I was some sort of terrible monster, you wouldn't do a podcast with me. You wouldn't be my friend for 20
mm,
years, right? Like there are
mm.
certain things, and of course, like there are manipulations that can happen. People could lie. I don't know. Like there are things. Sure, I'm not trying to devalue anyone else's experience. I'm talking about us right now, right? Like ours.
I mean, you did promise me that you would up my Walmart brand Cheetos
I
to
have
Doritos
tried my best
in
for.
the dungeon.
They're out. They've been out. They've been out, Steven, every time I go to the store. No, no,
It's
dude.
just better when I can. The dust on your fingers tastes better when it's actually Doritos brand, not a sponsor. Could you imagine if that was our Dorito commercial?
Not a sponsor yet. Like this whole episode, us talking about just like depressing human stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, brought to you by Doritos.
I like to lick every crumb.
Stay crunchy.
That's
It'll lick every drop. But anyway, the reason I brought that up was so this person who has all these like negative feelings about me, who like gets people to hate me and such. After that happened, after that initial situation, a year goes by, and I broke up with my girlfriend at the time. I broke up with my girlfriend, and this person invites me to a movie night, right? Mm-hmm. She invites me to movie nights, and I decline. And then the following week, she invited me to a movie night again. And I was like, no, like it's not going to happen. Please stop. Like it's not going to happen. But like, think about that for a second, right? Like, I'm this terrible monster, like narcissist or whatever it is. But here she is trying to get me to spend time with her and her friends, right? Like, wouldn't you think that that's enough evidence to just kind of discredit whatever nonsense she has to say? Is the fact that she would do that, and it's just like, you would think, right? But I feel like what happens is people are like, oh, look at, she's reaching out to him, this person trying to help, like
giving him an opportunity to prove that he's
yeah, I don't know what they're like, how they twist that, but I'm just like, no, this is a person I felt wronged me in such a way that I want nothing. I don't want any harm to befall her. I'm not like wishing her. I don't care. I just want her out of my life. I'm not interested. I put up that boundary. I said, no, thank you. I blocked you. And then you made alternate accounts. You made alt accounts to invite me to movie nights like a year later. And like, that's not okay. And then you did it again after I said no. And I said, no, thank you. And then it's like, that's not the first or last time. And I'm just like, I don't want to air any of it. I want to move on and just live my life and do my best. Like, I have my own movie nights. Like, this is what I've done. I've done that my whole life with people. I've tried to watch like silly things once a week. Like we watch Dexter.
We used to even do it
like,
back in my mom. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I've always found a way to have that, and I had that. When I was friends with her, I created the Weird Movie Wednesdays. There was a whole thing, hashtag Weird Movie Wednesdays. I stopped, and because of that whole situation, stopped. And then years later, I was like, you know what? I miss it. I miss doing this with friends. I'm going to try again. I'm going to do it on Thursdays. I'm doing, Good Time Bad Movie. And that's what we've been doing for freaking, I don't know, 30 weeks now. And it's great. And I love that. But it's just like, I want my life, and I'm trying to live my life and continue to curate and cultivate, like the experience I want in the same way that she would and you do and everyone does. And I'm like, I know I can't do anything to switch those prisms or like fix the glasses that people are choosing to see me through. But like the fact that someone else is actively trying to give others the worst possible lens, and I know she knows better, is the thing. I think that's like the thing that sticks in me, that where I'm just like, she doesn't believe these things, and I know she doesn't. Like, and I know she doesn't, and it's weird, and it's like, why do you want to hurt me? And I don't understand it. And like, I understand people are hurt, and sometimes there are like reactions and stuff, but like, this is 2 years later, I am a freaking person. Like just like everyone else, I am a freaking nerd and a jock and a basket case. And, like, you're going to see me how you want to see me, in the most convenient definitions. But like, stop being the fucking principal. Like, stop being the worst person in the school. Because that's all this is high school now, and I don't want it anymore. I want to go home. I want to graduate. I want to move on. I want Steven, I want to be the smartest boy in college. So let's move forward.
I want to go take out a bunch of loans and really screw up
Yeah.
Screw up everything.
It's the best thing we can do. It's all we can do.
I want to go to college for 7 years and become Ryan Reynolds somehow from that doctorate
I
that I get.
feel like we can do it. I feel like we'd be accepted, really.
I also love how the 7-year program leads you to two different possibilities, either the Van Wilder or the Chris Farley and
Yeah,
Tommy Boy. Those are the two options you get if you're in college for that long and not a doctor.
that's true. Um, but yeah, dude, I don't know. So I'm just I know it's a lot to say. Like I'm sure it's a lot of word salad and nonsense, but I don't know. I'm
I
trying.
think a lot of it was just expelling what you've been feeling and thinking, and like that's just that whole era is it's a tough era, like, because I mean it was obviously such an awesome era at one point, and
Yeah,
then
it was great.
the chaos that ensued from it. I
Yeah,
mean, in multiple levels too, not even just that level, but like that other level that happened like a year later with another member of that original group that had nothing to do with us really, but that was crazy too.
yeah,
But like yeah, like that area was already like tender for me too.
yeah,
And then like I don't know, the continuance of it, and like the continuance of like just doing your best to just exist still and like push through
yeah, dude.
and like try to like it's I
Well,
don't know. I
how
just hope, I genuinely hope this is the hurrah, this is the last, like, hey, this is it, this is,
well, it
we're
has to be
done.
getting, yeah, it has to be getting ridiculous for anyone who pays attention, right? Like, I mean, anyone who
Like the writing for this show got bad like, a year and a
it
half
did. We
ago.
need to move on. We're recycling old plots in the dumbest ways, like things that don't need to be
We've
rehashed.
introduced Lumen to the plot, okay? Right after the Trinity Killer. This is no good.
Oh,
This
good.
is
Let's
no
get out
good.
of this. We need to just move forward. And I'm gonna say I'm assuming you're watching right now because I don't know. I probably will, right? I don't know. But if you're watching right now, just please be a human person. Just please consider that I'm just a human. I'm a single dad. I'm trying my best. I sometimes I act like I never want to hurt you. I never want to hurt anyone. And it's freaking weird. And I don't know how to talk about it. And I feel no matter what I say or do or how I move, like everything's gonna be picked apart and disassembled in the worst possible configuration, however you can make me look like a monster. And I feel like there are other variations of that puzzle that you know to be more true. And it's absurd that you're trying so hard, to put me together in that way. So just please stop, just put me back in the box and throw me away because I don't want it, and I don't want to have your puzzle either. I'm not interested. I'm not going to tell anyone how to assemble you, and you don't tell people how to assemble me. And let's just move forward and stop this because it's absurd, and I'm ready. I'm ready to freaking move on. I'm like I have things I want to do, Steven. I have dreams. I have dreams. um, and
I have nightmares.
I'm gonna fulfill my dreams. Well, I'm living my nightmares. So let's talk about your nightmares so it feel a little better.
Well, it's a good segue, but this is a completely different tone in this.
It was a good
What I do.
segue though. Come on.
It was a great
I
great
found it.
segue.
I found it.
So guys, I need you to all to, sprawl out. This is whew, let's shake off those bad vibes, everybody.
Submitted
Let's
to the
shake them off.
approval of the
Let's
Ostrich
shake
Society. We call this shake it off, shake it off.
We all play Taylor Swift when we do the shake it off. Okay, we're just shaking off that.
Oh,
Because there's a
I'm
lot
so
of
sorry,
stuff there.
So
There's a lot to unpack. And no, I understand the cathartic like nature of what just happened, and I love you. And I wish the situation was different. I wish there was a lot of things different, but it's got to kind of just move forward. Progress is progress and everything. I guess.
You know what make me feel
even
better?
if it feels, huh?
You know what make me feel better? Hearing about your terrible nightmares, Stephen. You're just join me down here in the
Okay.
dark.
So I feel like I've staged this to make it seem like there's something deep about this. There is nothing deep. This is as much of a cheap horror flick as it comes. But how real it felt. Like, so last night, like I was sleeping, obviously, because I was dreaming, and I'm in this world. It's dystopian because most nightmares are. And I'm like on top of this like barn house, like in the middle of like nowhere America with like a group of people. And we just hear like this thundering sound in the distance. And it's like the cows, like they're coming. And I'm like, cows. And the zombie virus in this world just infects everything. And like, when I tell you those sweet little like cows, like, dude, it was a massive herd of zombified, like disgusting cows just barreling through like the Gallimimus running away from the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. Just like, and we're seeing it all like charge underneath us. And like, then like it just shoots ahead and like we're in this different like sequence. We're like walking and there's like basically it was like a whole zombie dystopian future, but no human zombies. It was just every animal was a zombie, and it was just it was like a flip for me. Like, and but like what like made it so scary is like it was one of those dreams where I woke up and I had to be like, okay, that's not my reality. Like, I had to like recalibrate. I'm like, how did I think that was my reality?
You turn over in bed and Tina's just like a beaver. Just like, oh my god,
oh, zombie beaver.
Zombie beaver.
That's a that sounds but like, but that would be crazy. Like if dreams really were like lenses into alternate realities, there is a fucking Steven out there that is battling zombie animals. He's kicking ass, but like that life sucks.
That does suck.
Like, do you think like when he goes to sleep, he's like, I'm just gonna draw comics. He's like, man, he's got such a good fucking life. It's like, oh, I'm gonna work with pavers all day. I have to fight zombie cows.
I don't know. I like to imagine that like he hates it. Like it just makes him miserable. He's like, oh, I have to draw this freaking comic again. Like, this nerd. This nerd writes words.
Yeah, because that's Steven's such a bad. It's like, oh, yeah. I had this horrible nightmare that I had to draw instead of murdering all these horrible animals with my fists. He's like, yeah, he just goes out there and starts killing more animals. It's like his joy. But like, so like a light monster test. Monster test, it's the light version. It's like when you buy the Switch Lite and it can't really connect to a TV and it's just a handheld version of the Switch. That's this, it's the Monster Light. But anyways, so Monster Light, I know various mediums have covered zombified animals, but like, what do you think the rules are of like zombie animals? Like what constitutes what animals can get it in said universes? Is it all animals? Is it like is the virus is like our standard virus situation where some animals it jumps, like monkeys and bats and things like that? Or
how terrifying it would be if it were similar to Night of the Living Dead, where like anyone who dies just comes back. Like you don't have to be bit. If you die, you come back. But imagine how many animals just die or like like that
every day.
How many animals they would constantly be like and they'd be flying animals would be terrifying. No one would ever go in the ocean again. Like think about zombie fish, zombie sharks, zombie whales, zombie narwhal. Like I don't want to mess with zombie octopus. The ocean, zombie octopus will tear you apart. Like,
oh my god. Well, yeah, like because like the ocean would be like the worst, right? Like it'd be by far the most like terrifying place. I mean, it's weird, Savannah wouldn't be doing too well either.
Right. Oh no, for sure. What's interesting though is like in zombie movies, I mean, there are exceptions where it's like the zombies will go after anything, but for the most part, zombies seem to go primarily after humans. Like they do go after animals sometimes in some movies, but it's like mostly you see like wild dogs running around or whatever, and like that's what it's a little scary because it's like the zoo is not being taken care of, so now in the zombie apocalypse you have to deal with zombies, but also loose animals, but it's like, would zombie animals eat humans or would they look for
other
animals?
Do they have the same virus that the human counterparts have where they crave? And like if I'm a tiger, like how much would that suck to be like an animal that's like very like, close to the extinction? Like zombie polar bears, man, there's only so many brains left. There's only so. Oh,
and like, man, polar bears, they're really picky, so they're like, I know there are only 3 of us, but I don't like the one that this one smells. I'm just
gonna rot away.
A different brain, yeah. Like,
what a way to lose the polar bears.
There's a movie called Zombies, and it's all about zombie animals. And
that's awesome.
It's really funny. It's a bad movie. It was one of our first bad movies that we watched with Good Time Bad Movie, and it's so silly. Like it's absurd. You see, but you get almost the full, like you get a whole zoo of animals. I wanted.
Oh, so you get to see zombie versions of like almost everything you want to see.
So you get like the giraffe and you get the monkeys.
I was hoping for
lions. Oh, giraffes are so funny too. It's so funny when the giraffes come in. I don't think we saw a penguin though. I think that was the thing where I was like, I wanted a freaking penguin. They won't give it to me, But anyway, but yeah, it's crazy. That is an interesting dream. But you said you were like, did you say you were on top of the barn?
Yes, like we were obviously up there because of things.
Because you're waiting for the okay. Yeah,
the
that was
passing of the. But the zombie, like when the cows like marched through, it was scary. Like I could
yeah,
feel like the thunder in my chest. And like you don't imagine cows galloping as much,
right,
like cows don't really move fast. So seeing
right.
like this entire wave of cows just like pouring through looking
Yeah,
for flesh,
man.
like it was pretty crazy.
I feel like
It's
that's
like that's the reason why we avoided them too, because there were so many, we wouldn't be able to take,
I feel like
two,
that's like
300
prophetic
cows.
of this like whole drama situation. Like we're just like up on a roof, hoping that it passes because we don't want to deal with this anymore, and it's utterly
And
ridiculous.
utterly ridiculous. And they're just gonna, we don't want to milk it, we don't want it to last forever,
We just
like we just want to move on.
we
And
just had to
like
hide. but yeah, dude,
oh
that's dude. Those dreams are so interesting because it's like I know exactly what you're talking about because like as far as like the how real and visceral things can feel, even though it's like
mm,
later on you're like, okay, well, zombie cows, it seems ridiculous. Like how
yeah,
scared
why would I believe
bunch of
that?
yeah, like why would I like here I am in a dream thinking like, oh yeah, zombie cows are real, but like I recently had one of those where like it wasn't a lucid dream, it was just a very vivid real dream where it was like there were UFOs and stuff. And I was just like, oh my God. Like I've never
Mhm.
seen anything like this. It's just like, but it feels so deeply real. And so like I just like every sense is there and it's all happening and it's all so vivid and that's then you wake up and you're like, oh my, that was a different reality for sure. Like you said, where it's like there's like
This was the
possible
alternate universe,
for sure.
dude. There was I'll never forget, like even now, like because I was, let's see, I was in the duplex. Brandon was a baby, so that means I was probably like 8, or no, I was 10. I was 10 at the time. Dude, I had this really vivid dream because I used to be really afraid of like the end of the earth,
Mhm.
and I think everyone is. That's a very common fear, but I had this vivid dream, and it was one of those dreams where like you wake up in your bed and then something happens. So like that's why it feels so real, because you've
Yeah.
already woken
Oh,
up. So how
yeah.
can I possibly be in a dream? I just woke up.
Yeah.
But like it was literally like, oh, I woke up and there was like a bright light, and I opened like my curtain right behind me. Like every detail of my room was like exact. And I opened it, and there was just a huge ball of fire in the sky just coming towards Earth.
Oh my
Like it lit
God.
up the whole neighborhood. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like that's the asteroid that destroys Earth. That's what that is. I can see it's bigger than the
Yeah.
sun
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
sky, and it's coming
Oh,
right at us. And then I woke up, and like I'm not like, because I always give Tina shit, because like we always say Sleep Steven is a dick, and Sleep
yeah.
Steven slings it. He goes around, he's loose, he does whatever he wants. And like Tina will genuinely be mad at me for like an hour and a half after she wakes up. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I
Didn't
didn't
do
do
anything.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's some alternate version of me. But that was the one dream like where I was like literally shaken for like, I don't know, a good hour or so
Yeah.
after. Like I really like thought it was real. And it was like I'm waking up in my reality, but didn't even like, did I die?
Yeah.
Is that what
Is that what that
like
was? I died and now I have to
was that
draw
my
freaking
first yeah,
pictures. Yeah.
yeah, was that my first bucket verse basically? Was that
That's
the first
dude,
time?
I think that all the time. I'm just like I hope when I die I get to see like that is the case. And they're like, oh, hey, remember that thing you said about how you and Steven were always joking about how many times you died? You got it. Like it was like that was
You
another
got
one.
it. You die. But
It's
then
like,
she
hey,
put
you're about to be 20
yeah,
again. Here it goes. I'm like, wait, what?
here it
Consciousness?
goes. What happened? Just
And then here I am
bungee
looking at my
back.
hands. I'm 20 and I'm writing a story. I'm like, okay, I'm trying my best now. This time I'm not going to do that stupid thing I did. I'm quantum leaping. And then you forget, I'm just like, all right,
Mm.
hopefully I'm quantum leaping. And Anthony, hopefully future dead Anthony gets reborn and I get to somehow undo all of this. And time isn't just a flat circle
We're
where
basically doing what
moving,
Nick
but
Cage did in Next, except it's much slower.
right. For sure.
It's like
Yeah.
we actually fully live the
Relive
entire
the whole
life.
thing. Ooh, and then we just like, can I go back to that checkpoint where like I made that stupid decision and like someone got hurt and then it's led to this whole thing?
No, bro, you forgot to turn off autosave and you accidentally
Yeah.
saved
I
after
mean,
all this shit happened.
that's kind of okay. Like to be fair, like us, I mean, like if they stop, just hopefully it all stops. But like I do like the idea of there's a book called Timequake. It was a Kurt Vonnegut book where like the character kind of Groundhog Days, like does a Groundhog Day situation where he's time looping, but it's a full several years that he does it. I think it's like 5 or 10 years or so. It's like it's a long time. It's a big period of time where like they just jump back in time. But what happens is when they're reliving the time, they can't change anything, but they're conscious of everything that's happening, that it's already happened. They've already experienced it. So I'm just like, imagine like how wonderful or terrifying that could be depending on the way you live your life, and like the decisions you make and decisions that are made for you and things that happen. It's just like you have to have some level of zen and be like, oh my God, I'm gonna, at least at the very least, I'm gonna control what I can to make sure that if I do have to be like dealt, if I have to live through this again, it's not gonna be suffering. Like I'm gonna continue forward. At this point on, if this is a checkpoint for me, if this is a moment where I'm like, listen, I'm not addressing any more drama. I'm not going to go into this anymore. It's doing damage to both them and me and future me and the dead me who has to relive it. So let's just move forward and let's live our days as if we are going to have to do it 4 billion times. Like we are Sisyphus pushing the rock, but let's make the rock actually enjoyable and like, do things
it's
that
going to slide down the hill, but like, let's enjoy the slide.
Yeah, let's carve this rock into something that looks enjoyable and that we want to be squished by. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It's been a week. I'm glad that like you're not living the nightmares and that you're only sleeping in them. But otherwise, has everything been all right mostly?
Yeah, everything is good in the Todd Hizzy.
Good.
That's everyone's doing good.
All right. But anyway, so every week, Steven and I, we talk about all of our various issues, not usually to this extent. If it's your first time watching, I'm sorry. And
this is an episode.
Please forgive us. Forgive me. It's a whole thing. And I know it doesn't, it's one of those things where it's like contextually, did I give it did I make it make sense without giving away too much or disrespecting anyone or make it, I don't know. I tried my best and I hope you can see that at the very least. But it's rough and it's complicated and I am human. I'm going to I'm going to fail. It's going to happen. Anyway, speaking of trying not to fail, Steven, what are we going to do this week?
Get the products ordered. Let's do it.
That's right.
Get everything in gear to ship out.
That's right. And this week,
we're probably gonna need more stickers, by the way.
Too. I have a bunch, but like we probably will need more. I'll order some more. This week I'm going to do my best. I'm gonna finish issue 3. I'm gonna write it. I'm just gonna finish. I have Wednesday and Thursday, and then I actually have Friday off of work. So I'm gonna use Friday as if it's my job to like, that's my like, if I don't finish it tomorrow or Thursday, Friday I'm done. Like that's it. And I usually can like force myself to sit down and like focus and do that stuff. So like I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna get the comic done. And I'm gonna do my best to not focus on any potential drama that may arise. Like I hope everyone can recognize my candor, like, and just like appreciate like the situation as weird and silly and complicated as it is, and just move the heck forward and have the best life possible. All of you, all of us, but anyway, I love you. I'm thankful for all of you. Thank you for watching this. I can't say enough about how much I appreciate you, and I'm so glad to have you. And I hope you don't see what that other person saw in me. And if you do, I'm sorry. And I hope at some point I can do something to fix it. I don't know anymore, Steven, but I'm just going to keep living this weird life and doing my best. And hopefully people can recognize it. What do you want to say to the people?
That I love you. And I hope you all behave on Twitter. I'll be back at some point. I'm just taking a little break, but I appreciate each and every one of you. And I can't wait to get Deathless 2 into each and every one of your hands. And I hope you all have great weeks.
All right. We love you. We'll see
what's left of them.
I'm Anthony.
I'm Stevie Wildcard. He's back.
And this has been We Have Issues, episode 1. See you next time.
Boom! All right, dude. I love you.
You didn't say boom, Steven?
Oh.
You always boom. What? You boom every time.
Boom. Boom goes Natamite. Boom goes the zombie cow invasion. Boom. Boom.
I need at least 6 more, Steven.
Boom, boom, boom. Let the booms hit the floor. Let the booms hit the floor. Let the booms hit the...
Steven, I've been trying not to cry like
boom.
You ever do the thing where it's like, you know, like, because most of the time I'll just like get stoic, and like sometimes I'm like, oh, there's a lot going on in here right now, and I don't know what to do with it. And then I'm like, I start laughing, and I'm like, oh, there are tears coming out that I don't think I don't think those are supposed to be happy tears right now. I think
Yeah.
they were waiting.
Yeah, like lying in wait.
Yeah,
the
like,
same thing happens to me. The same thing happens to me, but with country songs. Like, it's so weird.
Here it comes. Ooh, it's like, did he talk about his father? Yes, he did.
He did.
Oh man, that was supposed to come out.
It's just that he's playing an A minor right now. It has nothing to do with
nothing
to do with my trauma.